2000. I think it's just started now, actually, hasn't it? Hi. So this is Change the Future's weekly strategy meeting, 3rd of August 2015. You're still not in the picture.
Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm fine being out of the picture. Occasionally, I'll lean in. There you go. I am physically here.
Okay, so we've got a minute taker, which is Daniel.
I'm action minutes minimal only.
Cool. So first thing we do is, have you got the agenda in minutes in front of you, brother? Do you want a link to it? Leon Flegg.
I have, yeah.
You got it? Okay, cool. I'm going to bosh it up there just for a giggle. Is there somebody up for chairing? I can do this.
I mean, I'll do it, but it seems logical to have someone there doing it, as you're all a group together there, and I'm kind of this sole.
I think it's good to have over the web chair, and also I think it's nice because you don't chair much.
Oh, I'll chair.
Fluid leadership.
Good. Just a point from the minute taker. In the pre-discussion, we thought we'd try and finish by 9 o'clock, Chair. I don't know if you're okay to chair us towards a 9 o'clock finish.
Oh, even more pressure. Yeah, okay. I'll try and get us. I'll try and get us moving quickly. Yeah.
Fab. Banging. All right. Over to you, Mr. Flegg.
Okie doke. I'm only just looking at the agenda for the first time. Hang on a sec. Yeah, looks like we could get it finished relatively quickly. So we've appointed the facilitator and minute taker. We've got a few new faces, I think. Do they want to introduce themselves?
Yes, maybe that's me. I'm Daniel Bernstein. I met Luke 2 weeks ago at an open space event that I organised on behalf of the People's Republic of Brighton and Hove.
Yes, I remember seeing your name on the Facebook feed for that now. Yeah.
Okay, so I am, and so my title under that is the Returning Officer for the People's Republic of Brighton and Hove. Returning Officer for Making Shit Happen is my official title.
And you do.
Excellent.
Are you new? No, who else is?
Yeah, I'm new. I'm
okay.
new to this anyway. I'm Greg Madison, and I met both of these people at that same event.
Excellent. Greg, good to meet you. I've seen your name around quite a few times as well.
Yeah. Should we just carry on round and just do it? If you want to do a quick thing, that's fine.
I'm Stefan. I'm a computer geek and business mentor.
Luke, co-founder of Change the Future and sort of core team member, if that means anything.
Yep.
We've been sort of chatting about it today, whether it does, but I'm involved a lot anyway.
I'm Silas. I can be everyone. I met Luke last week online, as you should not do, and
You're being groomed.
yeah, well, that's what my parents were wondering, but oh well. He told me on a tube and any other, suspicious details that I can give, but no.
First class is free.
Yeah, that's who I am. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm Luke is what I'm trying to say. I'm from the group of Luke.
Okay.
Awesome. Great to see some new faces. I'm Leon, and I always introduce myself as Luke's brother, so I'm not going to do that this time. Dope, I've just done it.
I took that.
And yeah, I'm semi-experienced within the group, and that's me. Let's continue.
Nice. Leon.
We'll introduce ourselves. Opportunity to share anything new or creative or interesting that we've come across in the last week. Anybody got anything?
Is it I didn't see that on the agenda.
Yeah,
that is on the agenda.
Like a sort of standard thing, standard practice thing. Stefan likes to stick these at the bottom, but then we never do them.
Okay. Silas, Luke was telling me some interesting stuff about how you guys have come to meet each other. Why don't you tell us your...
Why don't we go through, because there's quite a lot of new stuff on, isn't there?
I've got a lot of updates in there anyway. My interesting thing is I went on a massive biomimicry frenzy last night and just got back into that again, and I'm passionate. I've just refound even deeper than ever a passion for design inspired by nature. I just really feel like 90% of the problems that human beings are trying to solve right now that are actually worth solving have mostly already been solved by nature. We're just too blind to see, or arrogant. Little bit strong, maybe a bit distracted.
Okay. I've got a note of that.
Would anybody else like to mention anything interesting?
I'll save mine. I've got a thing on the agenda later on, so I'll save mine for that.
Brilliant.
Well, I went to an event in London with Luke that was called Commons Uprising.
That's interesting. We met.
That's how we met. That's the safe public space that we met in, just in case, at the University of East London. And no, I think it was quite theoretical, but some of the ideas discussed there around, maybe you can describe it better, Luke, but in fact, why don't you describe it?
Nope.
Some of the ideas being discussed there around creating common value communities, and also an event the next day called intentional communities that only I attended, just around creating intentional communities in specific geographical locations, and taking, back a little bit of control to a large group of people and how you would organize and manage that. So
okay, cool. That sounds like you could bring some value to what we're trying to do, definitely, with that. That's cool. Let's move on, as we're trying to be quick tonight. Matters arising. Anybody got some matters arising?
Kind of all on the agenda.
Cool, let's just try and be quick, because we normally spend quite long on each thing on the agenda. Luke, quick update on bank legal entity and meeting today with Greg.
So it's three things in one there. Bank, haven't decided on bank yet. Hereby is a reminder to jump on Vocalize for people who haven't already, and look at the discussion that's continuing on there, because we haven't quite pressed the button on banks yet. I proposed nationwide. Joseph, I think, has proposed a more popular option of the Unity Bank, which, none of them have got any blocks. So probably Unity Bank as it goes so far, Unity Trust Bank.
Can I just quickly say, Luke, that I went on the Vocalize vote for that, and I saw, I think it was Joseph's comment about ethical banking, and I remembered that sort of got super trendy last year and is still fairly trendy. And were you considering that with your choice of Nationwide? Is that why
Nationwide is really ethical. It was Charlie Shred that made me realise this. They're nothing like Barclays or Lloyds, or maybe the Co-op is kind of similar, but actually, if I remember right, I think Charlie was saying that Nationwide was by quite a long way like the most ethical high street bank, and so they have shiny mobile app and mobile banking, phone banking, and just really good instant payments and free for community projects and stuff. I think they're actually a building society, aren't they? I think. But
I've been with them for many years.
What are they like?
I have no problems with them. They're efficient. They're nice and friendly. They have online banking, which is as safe as online banking gets.
And you don't need a stupid little calculator thing to do online banking stuff.
Oh, they sent me one of those. I never got my head around that.
Once you get your head around it.
he's a software engineer, he can't get his head around it. No.
But wait, so you need that to do?
You need an app to work the app. But I haven't used online banking for quite a while because I don't like online banking. But I normally just go into the branch, and I've got that credit card which works efficiently. I always pay it back and forth, so I have no interest in it.
Do you need the calculator to do web banking or mobile phone banking?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
What's the problem?
The problem with it is just a convenience thing about how it means. It means that some like Leon right now wouldn't be able to do anything with the online banking because he doesn't have this stupid.
The thing is, you stick your bank card into this device and enter your PIN number, and then it spits out some number that allows you to get online. And once you're online, you've got the nice statements. You can send money back and forth between your different savings accounts and what have you. So,
but even with the Co-op, I mean, they have those little things as well. But you can do a lot without it. it's only certain things that you have to use the debit machine for.
The co-op, in my experience, at least for a professional account, like non-personal account, you need it to even just log in to the banking at all, I think. Right. Whereas Lloyd's don't have one at all for anything, or certainly not for personal. But the last thing I wanted to say about it is just that I intend to go to at least Nationwide and probably phone Charity Bank as well, and ask them some questions. So maybe anyone who's interested in that.
I found it helpful to have several bank accounts with different banks. So if one of them plays up or gets awkward or irksome, I just move over this and flip over to the other one and carry on there. I always like backups. It's because of the air cadets and you know how to fly and you have backups, because otherwise you fall out of the sky. And you don't want to do that with your business either.
Always have a plan B.
Yeah, and a C and a D.
When you're going gliding.
All right.
Just to bring it back to the ethical question, I won't labour the point too much, but the whole ethics thing was more surrounding what the banks do with their investments and stuff.
Yeah.
I personally would be pretty keen to change it with an ethical bank.
For sure, man. Yeah, definitely.
Personal belief system, but yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe that. Yeah. But I think you're right. The Nationwide and Co-op are both fairly good on that, from what I can remember from last year. But anyway, shall we move on to the next point? Legal entity.
Yeah, so legal entity, nothing much really since going to Stefan's house. Anyone who's interested can buzz me or Stefan. I think it's just posted in the Google Drive folder. Teams, legal money, that folder. There's a document in there that shows the questions, which are really interesting to look at. I think about every question that you would ask ChangeTheFuture in order to know which is the most suitable legal structure and governance model has been asked in that cooperative selector structure tool that Joseph posted us to. So you can look at it all in there and comment on it.
Great. Stefan, you wanted to add a point?
Yes, just very quickly. We only need a legal entity when we really have the need for it. So it's not something we need to do now because it costs money. Once we decide which legal entity we want, we have a tame accountant who could just be ordered to get that sorted, this company house. And then we supply them with annual accounts, which need to be absolutely top on. So that's it, but it's not a big thing. It's not something we need to discuss for 3 days. It's something where we decide, do we need it? If you do, which form? Tell the accountant, get it done.
Great. Keeping us updated, Stefan.
Just one more thing. My accountant costs me about £300 a year, and it does all my corporate accounts. So I have a template for accounting, which I will make available as and when I'm asked for it. And that is what I use with my accountant. I just email him the spreadsheet, and he does the magic of accounting. And he knows all these fancy rules. I don't deal with the taxman, but the accountant, he knows the tax rules. He adjusts my accounts accordingly. And that is the same with us. And if we want to be a non-profit, basically means all the money we make over the year, at the end of the tax year, we need to decide who's going to get it. A charitable case or the case of the people that work in the work team, that is up to us to dispense of. If we don't, if we make a profit that is taxable, i.e. more than £10,000 after expenses, then we will pay a little bit of tax. But that is highly unlikely.
Excellent. Thank you, Stefan. Luke, you've had a meeting with Greg today.
We had a meeting today, didn't we, Greg? We had a meeting and we just...
I can verify.
Yeah, Silas was there. Daniel joined us.
Throw Greg in at the deep end and ask him to report on the meeting.
Yes.
I'm not sure what I would say about it, to be honest. It felt like we went in 20 directions at once, and I felt like we never quite got to any destination. So it was a very interesting discussion about many different topics, including kind of how to organize ChangeTheFuture, who belongs, who might potentially receive money for working at Change the Future. And I certainly felt like all of those discussions needed a lot more time. But it was interesting.
Personally, I think I'm becoming more and more comfortable with the fact that Change the Future is kind of this very slow-moving ship that's going to a very good destination. So I think that's kind of our way, is loads of discussion and theoretics eventually coming to a very good place. That's what we're hoping anyway. So
we spoke a little bit, one of the most important things to me is we spoke a little bit about kind of how to be together, how to listen to each other, and how to generate more creative ideas by not just resorting to kind of the known ways of doing things.
Great. Would you like to add, Luke?
I think I'd like to come back to you / the group when I think we definitely want to talk more about it. So yeah, I think that feels like all I want to say on it. So yeah, but definitely we want to talk more and dig more. I think it was going in a great direction. But then I was like, run away! Strategy meeting.
Is the idea that you two are speaking and then reporting back to the group, sort of thoughts? Is that the?
Yeah,
I don't mean to call you out or anything. I'm just wondering what they.
Well, we're doing that now. Whether that's set in stone.
I think it's just good for us to even if we're
the
not
conversations you
pressing.
seem to be having were very helpful for you, especially and to at least vocalize what your vision for CTF is, and therefore you can present that vision to other people and they can either agree or agree with parts. And so if you firm up more what you think, that I think would be helpful for everyone else. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just that you have that in mind, that that's what you're doing.
I mean, it's like a proposal is the most actionable, big impact thing that's going to come out of it, isn't it? So like, I guess that's what I'm imagining is going to happen. We'll discuss it more and then chuck out not only a proposal, but also, an accompanying better understanding of good questions to ask.
Hold Luke to that then, write that down.
But yeah, I do want
promising.
A proposal's coming. I've actioned that.
All I will say, just for people who aren't really sure what we're actually talking about, I would just kind of reframe it as we're exploring how, for me, one of the main things I think out of the discussion is exploring how we can better remove financial obstacles from people really getting involved in Change the Future.
Yes, and on that note, I'd like to say that what helps with this one is financial literacy, which is not taught in school, unfortunately, or only just about to begin to be taught in school, but proper financial literacy. Once we achieve that, things will become a lot easier.
Great point.
If you get any money.
So for individuals.
Financial literacy I do free of charge.
I see.
It just needs time. Education takes time more than money. Education leads to freedom.
Guys, are we comfortable to move on to the next point in the minutes?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Luke, you're going to give us an update about the Raw Health Bar with Ray.
It started slightly late because I was guilty of missing my last train back to Brighton after a long shoot up in Norfolk. So I stayed at Silas's house and then came to Brighton in the morning. And it was heaving during Gay Pride, and so I went to the open market where I worked with Ray and his partner Dandy. We had a table out in the open market. Obviously, being Pride, it was quite busy. There was a lot of people going around. So we had a couple of laptops out, a big sort of sign saying, try e-democracy, and what do you think of this proposal to get a raw health bar into our local hospital? And then people were using Represent to vote for or against the proposal and add their reasons why. So you've got a handful of people signed up to Represent, got a few votes on the proposal, but it was really people, didn't want to spend 1 minute signing up to it. One guy summed it up pretty well, I think, with "I've got 20 seconds," to which I said, have a nice day. So yeah, it is just a real challenge. I think the best thing that came out of it was probably, from my point of view, probably a learning experience and feedback for Represent and kind of tools like this. There's quite a few sort of detailed, actionable ideas maybe to talk through with Ed, and also to inform our sort of designs for web-related tools, how to gather opinions very quickly. And
yeah, but one of the things that seemed to come out was for kind of street canvassing of opinion, it has to be something much more user-friendly and straightforward and almost instant.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar, but I think Stefan wants to make a point. So
yeah,
you go
and we talked a little bit about it, and the challenge that if you want to get anything to do with software or e-voting or something, the challenge is that on one hand, the vote needs to be representative. It needs to be able to be anonymous, and that I see as the two things. The way it goes with represent, you have to sign up, and I found when the account's being left over, and I found that a huge privacy violation. Yeah. That is why I didn't sign up to it. We need to find a way to do that. Now, you came across the electoral reform website, and I've known about them for a long time. And we should perhaps ponder if we could find a way, maybe working with them, that we could outsource the voting bit to the people who have been thinking about it for 20 years, instead of trying to do our own. I mean, entire governments are concerned about how to get e-voting going, you know, without it being manipulated, with it being representative, and with it still being anonymous voting. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to achieve that, but this is something we should look into it in the next 6 months.
Was Luke, I remember when this idea first came up, were we not talking about the possibility of a wall of ideas?
Say again?
Were we not considering the wall of ideas for Ray's event?
Oh yeah, but so that had, I'd say those two things that Stefan said, representative, like whose voice is missing from this vote, like digitally excluded people, or who's missing from these opinion gatherings.
Yeah.
And anonymous, yeah. I think there's some issues around that, but yeah, it's definitely an important discussion to be had there. And but then a big one is obviously verification, like proving that it's a real person, not just Luke's leg with different email addresses.
Yeah, you don't
especially when it's high stake.
Yeah, you don't want to have the robot voting 1,000 times overnight.
Yeah. So I think, you know, that's the biggest weakness of the wall of ideas, I think. While it's very, you know, that would actually be a lot quicker than Represent, because currently you just use coloured pins and people would just put a green pin into a piece of paper to vote for an idea, but it just wasn't. I mean, actually, we could have taken a photograph of people like with their fingers on the pin. I think there could have been playful ways around it that probably would have resulted in us working a bit longer and harder afterwards to sort of tie it together. But or even holding a piece of paper saying I strongly agree, just taking their picture. But like, so yeah, I guess we reduce other people's time by us spending more time kind of compensating.
And people would have reservations about having their picture taken because that could be used for identity theft. So it's a lot of security issues. I mean, I'm involved with computer security, and so I do have, I'm mindful of these things. Yeah. We're talking to members of the public. Members of the public have different concerns about either their privacy or their face being, photo being taken, which is done all over the place by security cameras and whatever.
Can I jump in here, Leon and Chair, because this kind of moves us on to actually the next part of the agenda.
Okay.
So we've kind of moved on. I think we've moved on from the Raw Health Bar. We were talking more about the e-voting.
True. Is that with Leon? I think if in case he has a sort of plan for transition. But yeah, go on. Well,
that feels like it leads straight in.
Okay.
Yeah, no, let's move on. Go ahead.
Well, so the weekend that I'm organising on the 25th, or pulling together on the 25th, 26th and 27th of September, is basically a weekend of discussions around technology and new democracy. So an absolutely fundamental at the heart of it, what I want to come out of it is an agreed tool that's used for seeing people's opinions on a certain subject locally, so in the Brighton and Hove area, and see how that evolves over time and mirrors the decisions that local councillors are making. So I'm either going to run it as a competition, or I'm going to run it as a we decide on the day. But by 6 o'clock on Saturday, the 26th of September, I would like to have a few hundred people almost signed up and agreed on a certain tool. And I would very much like the people in this discussion, Change the Future, to come up with one of the solutions. Now, it might be that other people might come up with some other solutions as well, but I think that I definitely want Luke and other people, Change the Future, to be putting forward an idea for that.
And what would the decision-making process be to pick one?
Well, we might all have a pin on the day, or we might have all tried something on our phone. You can see, over the day, you can see how opinions change. So maybe as you come into the building, you get a signature badge, and there's a wall in front of you as to what you go for. And a bit like Mike Reed in Run Around Now, probably before your time, you can change your mind over the day. You can keep moving your pin and see if something swarms in organic nature, or actually if it's quite dissipated.
So only people there physically can vote.
I'm happy if we can do it anonymously and verifiably. I'm happy. I don't think anyone's going to try and hoodwink it. So I'm happy if people do online voting.
Mm-hmm.
I'd quite like them to be involved in the
process of the day.
Well, in Brighton and Hove, really. I don't necessarily want people voting in from London or Australia or, theoretically.
Or the United States.
Or the United States. I could be open to that, but I think it's designed to be a local tool.
Luke?
Just to kind of frame it a little bit and kind of connect me to it more, what is a sort of random example of once we've decided on a tool, after the end of September, like what's a random example of a proposal you could imagine just off the top of your head being pitched on there and people voting on?
Homelessness, I think that we should encourage people living in Brighton and Hove to open their doors in a safe way to be discussed to people living on the streets. And shall we set up shall that be an issue? Or for example, if it was the I-360, should we have the I-360 built on? I think that decision's taken. So I'm looking. So for another one, for example, that's coming up,
should we knock it down?
Is the budget for Brighton and Hove, which they want to spend a year compiling what people think in order to decide on the future of public spending in Brighton and Hove.
Yeah.
So to track that decision over a period, over the next, so that when the key committee meeting is coming up, and people can see that if you start having 200, 400, 500, 1,000 people, hopefully representative, anonymous, and verifiable, saying a certain thing, reaching some consensus, that if politicians or local councillors reach another decision that's away from that, that becomes an interesting area for discussion around the next election. So I want to sharpen this tool. I want to have a tool to play with.
Do you imagine it more as like a temperature check that hopefully will help to guide conversations, or more of a kind of binding?
Really simple, as you said, it's something you have to sign up for on your phone. It takes 20 seconds or less, because you probably have to put your email, a password.
But binding or just temperature check? Just
it's a who's it binding? It's binding on who? There's no binding, because
I would like Change the Future to create a tool that councils and decision makers, agree to kind of.
I know, but at the moment on Saturday 27th, you can't say it's binding on anything.
Okay.
It's just it's to test the temperature.
Yeah.
Kind of polling.
Who knows what people really think of the I-360? Every time it gets discussed on the People's Republic, some people say horrible, some people say great. Is it Is it 50-50 split, or is it an 80-20 split?
So, I mean, even if it's not binding, there might be, like there's a law about e-petitions that if there's, I think, 10,000 signatures on an e-petition, it must be discussed in House of Commons.
It's not a petition. We've got plenty of petition tools. It's a testing local temperature tool. And then mapping, over time, mapping councillors' decisions against the majority of what people thought.
That would be an interesting thing.
So that we've got a tool to make informed decisions at the next local elections. We've got 5 years to get it right and to really build it.
I mean, just think of how much data you acquire until the next election.
Yeah.
And then most people tend to forget during the period of Parliament all the awesome things or the awful things that the politicians have done. And then the last year they play nice so that we remember. But if you have a tool where you precisely can say, this is what the public wants, this is what the politicians have done, there's a slight mismatch, or there is a match, we'll see. Yeah, but it will be a good record.
Yeah, would the idea be obviously initially in Brighton and Hove, right? Would the idea then, would you be open to the possibility of putting it in other councils and other regions? Or would you?
I think there are, there are countless organisations, there are countless people, there is a groundswell of people all across the world doing similar things.
Yeah. So
I think that it needs to be well networked. And someone like that bloke who popped his head through the door saying, I network these organisations together. Yeah. It's potty not to, but it's the future. And you guys want to change it. And you've done some research on it. So
bringing it back to what Stefan was saying with regard to the election in a few years, if you've gathered loads of data and opinions and temperature by the time of the next election, that's the kind of thing that can obviously be quite a valuable tool for people with their campaigns. So obviously, like, Luke's not overly keen on CTF having political affiliations, but at the same time, we have said we'd be willing to collaborate with councillors or MPs, and that kind of gathering of opinion is something that would be very valuable. Stefan, did you want to add to that?
Yes, if the politicians know that we're logging their activities and comparing them to public views, then they might actually change their behavior and not just wait till the next election to be deselected. But if they want to win the next election, they better listen carefully to what the people want.
Exactly.
So I've decided, because this is my ball and my baby, an action from the meeting is I am going to hold an open competition, which will be announced at the beginning of the Brighton Digital Festival, with the announcement of the winner during the day on the 26th of September. And I would invite ChangeTheFuture to enter the competition.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Are we ready to move on?
I am, unless you want me to tell you a little bit more about those 3 days, but I'm happy not to maybe detail.
Feel free, go ahead.
I think that's
6 minutes in total.
Agree.
Oh, well then we better move on if you've only got 6 minutes left. Can I come back to it as any other business if you want?
Yeah, I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, good point.
Chairman.
You're right. So move on.
Okay. Well, yeah, the reason I felt comfortable with that is that we don't have too much left of the minutes. But yeah, I mean, we could possibly go a little bit past 9 o'clock anyway. So let's just quickly go through the last couple of matters then. Luke, anybody need help with Vocalize you've put on there?
Just an invitation to anyone, just reminding that I'm very happy to help people one-to-one with using it. Anyone?
Me.
Cool. Okay, I'll talk to you at the end. You?
Yeah, just keep me through, but it's difficult.
Okay.
Luke, in case
a morning session.
Following.
Morning is good. I'm more sharp on the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's pick a time and place right after this meeting.
Yeah, after the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brother, just for the benefit of people watching, would you like to just quickly take 30 or 60 seconds to explain Vocalize very quickly?
Vocalize is the tool that we chose through consensus to make representative decisions in Change the Future, so that we can then take actions, whether it's applying for funding or changing our logo or holding an event or collaborating with an organisation. Whatever decision we want to make that affects the group, we can now achieve consensus on it. And also, maybe just as importantly, explain our reasons for why we voted for or against or block.
Yeah, very quickly, just say some of the functions. So you can put comments, can't you?
You can create topics, sorry. So one topic is who should we bank with? And then inside that, anyone can create proposals. Someone might put a proposal which is we shouldn't have a bank. One will be nationwide, like I put. One, Joseph put was Unity Trust Bank. And people can vote on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being block, which means you veto and that proposal cannot carry. And you can decline to vote as well, saying there's not enough information, or it's not your area of expertise, or you don't care, etc.
Right. Very succinct, thank you. Are we comfortable to move on?
Yeah. Just to say, it might be that Vocalize wins the open competitions I mentioned before.
Probably.
If you change the futures, you know.
It's too complicated.
But anyway, let's have the thing and see. Maybe there's a edited version.
Yeah, these conversations can take place before your event and quite possibly during as well. So yeah, plenty more to come on that, I'm sure. Final point on the minutes. You were mentioning something to do with more planning for strategy meetings, Luke, or more input from other members?
I would just love to. I've had the honour of holding the role of organising strategy meetings now since the beginning of time, and just wanted to invite absolutely anybody to hold the flame for a bit, and I'll be happy to help people get their head around it, and maybe more importantly, create a very simple kind of set of instructions for how to organise a strategy meeting. Send out a reminder. Do the video call thing. It's pretty simple. It's just like a handful of things, but it'd just be really nice to not always be the person who's solely responsible for it happening.
Silas, were you wanting to add something?
No, I was
volunteering.
No, I was
volunteering.
Yeah,
Luke.
I could be the
yeah.
How long are you here for?
Till the 15th of August, and I'm back at boarding school, and I'm busy. I'm non-existent from the 15th, well, from the 29th of August, anyway, 29th of August until next summer, and then then I appear again. at least I can appear in
another returning officer.
Yeah,
but you'll be following us on Facebook during that time, so you know where we're up to.
Yeah, but I won't do anything because I just can't take on.
Right.
That's fully understandable. No worries, mate.
No one steps forward right away, but I'd like to just keep sort of putting the invitation out there. I'd like to just evolve that, because I feel like it's a sort of repetitive task that's easy. It's not sort of a nasty thing to do, but it's just something that I feel like is an easy thing for a new person to do, and really be of instant value to the project. And
on occasions where I am free on a Sunday, I am willing to purely be involved in getting it all set up with you, and then maybe that will give me the knowledge to at some point in the future do it on my own. So yeah, maybe Sunday or the one after, we could go through it together, and potentially that would give me the knowledge. So there's one person who's
should we do an action point for us just to chat about that
and as you're learning the knowledge, maybe it'd be best if you, Leon, wrote down instructions.
Yeah, to show. Yeah, like it.
I don't mean to put, but just what.
Great suggestion. Okay, guys, we've kind of got to the end of the minutes, so we said we were gonna.
Do you want me to whiz through the action I've got written down?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so bank, there's going to be further discussion. Legal entity needs to be a little bit more discussion. No decisions yet. Greg and Luke update. There's going to be more discussion and proposal coming from Luke.
This is CTF. More discussion, always more discussion.
Which is maybe its strength. The raw health bar,
Exactly.
lots of lessons learnt in terms of a more instantaneous decision-making tool. When it comes to voting, we want it representative, anonymous, and verifiable. That there is an open competition invitation which Change the Future is invited to put together an e-opinion forming tool. That there's going to be a vocalize private tuition date to be set after this meeting. There was a few things at the beginning about updates from Luke, biomimicry, and from Silas, Commons Uprising, organizing and managing groups, which was useful. The next strategy meeting, Leon and Luke are going to talk further about getting involved.
Brilliant, thank you. So we said we were going to come back and have another couple of thoughts on this voting. And
what I'm minded to do is to close the strategy meeting. I want to read out from some emails and basically just have a slightly more, it's not a private discussion, but I'm not sure, I haven't got other people's permission to start talking about it over the web. I'm sure nothing will happen. I'm sure we'll be fine. But, so can we turn off the public broadcasting?
Yeah.
And then, if people are watching, think, oh no, I want to know more about that. It'll be anyone's invited to this weekend. Anyone can come. It's all free. There'll be more details soon. I just kind of need to work it up a bit.
Yeah. That sounds absolutely fine. So, are we all comfortable to stop the broadcast?
I've got the button here.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Hopefully, see you soon.
So, Leon, do you want to stay after I stop recording?
Yeah, I'll stay. Yeah.
Cool.